My name is Rachel Benoit.
I'm Rebecca Gonzalo.
I'm Gavin McIntyre.
I'm Denise Martel.
Our presentation is on the topic of social psychology of false confessions, compliance, internalization, and confabulation. The confession of a crime is an imperative piece to solving a crime. As it is much needed in order to proceed to a trial or hearing, there are many times that confessions are given that are false and inaccurate. These false confessions are given by innocent parties, people that have had nothing to do with the crime. Though this sounds to be fabricated and ridiculous, it really does happen in real-life situations. There are three main questions that we need to consider when analyzing a confession. First of all, what methods did the police interrogators use in order to obtain the confession? What effects did the chosen method have on the suspect? And lastly, if a coerced confession is retracted by the suspect, yet still presented in trial, will the different parties of the jury appropriately incorporate the law in regards to their judgment of the given confession? There are also several methods police investigators will pursue in order to receive a confession. For example, the presentation of false evidence or the use of personal values against the subject, amongst many other things.
However, there are two techniques that are constantly used throughout the interrogation process. Minimizing, this is where the detective traps a suspect by giving them a false sense of security and placing guilt into their minds by presenting the sequence of events to the suspect as if they were the one. The second is maximization. This is the more extreme of the two techniques because the detective will use scare tactics by instilling fear into the suspect and ensuring them that if they do not provide a confession, they will receive a much more severe sentence. To conclude, these methods we will be left with three types of confessions after the interrogation process. Voluntary confession will be given with the absence of extreme pressure. Coerced compliance, the confession given in order for the suspect to escape the pressure, avoid and torture or threat, or because they were promised some sort of benefit. Lastly, we have coerced deterioration. Lastly, we have coerced internalization. This confession is the least likely of the three, but does occur. The suspect has come to believe that they are guilty of crime.
The original experiment provided students with extra credit. They participated in a reaction time test. 79 undergraduates had signed up and were randomly put into 4 different groups. These groups included 2 fast-speaking groups that read 67 words per minute, and either a Confederate witness who testifies to having seen the crime or a Confederate that does not see such crime. The same is true of the other 2 groups, except they are the slower speaking and only speaks 43 words per minute. All the participants and a matching Confederate will fill out a questionnaire about how well they could type, their spatial awareness, and their reflex speed, in order to give the experiment a more realistic touch. The pair was then brought to a separate room and seated across from an instructor who gave the instructions to the task. The Confederate was to be asked to read the letters out loud for the subject for 3 minutes, and then the roles would supposedly be switched. They are asked in no means press the Alt key, because doing so would terminate the program. All data would be lost. Of course, after 1 minute of the reading of the letters, the system would mock shut down, and the instructor would come over to the computer and ask the subject to hit the Alt key, which all subjects had denied at first. Then the instructor would ask the Confederate if he or she had seen the subject hit the Alt key. Depending on which group the subject was in, the Confederate would either agree or disagree that the subject had done so. After this, an instructor would inspect the computer, and if the computer seemed to be broken, which of course it did, the instructor would then write up a confession for the subject to sign. in which the consequence of not signing would be a phone call from the principal investigator. After this incident, the subject would be brought into a room where the instructor will say he forgot his appointment calendar and needs it for rescheduling and will go to require it. While the instructor is gone, another Confederate asks the subject what happened. After the subject answers, the instructor comes back and asks the subject to come back and tell him when they think to hit the Alt key while he reads the letters out loud. After all this, the subjects were finally and completely debriefed about the study, in which the reaction were relief, amazement, and a sense of satisfaction.
And I'm going.
One of you is gonna call out letters, and then randomly, and the other one is gonna type the letters into the computer. I'm gonna start with you calling out the letters you're gonna be typing. Don't hit the Alt key, because that'll crash the entire program. So just watch out for that while you're doing it. We're gonna do that for 3 minutes, and then after that time limit, we're gonna switch, call out letters, and you'll be the one typing. So now begin.
A, C, B, D, F, G, H, I, J, C, W, X, H, E, I.
What, did you hit the Alt key?
No.
It's crashed. Did you hit the Alt key?
No, I did not.
Did you?
Yeah,
did you
she
see
did.
it? She hit it? So, I'm going to write up a confession for you to sign about hitting the Alt key, and then I'm just going to need you to sign that. So. And then you can just sign it.
I refuse to sign this.
You're going to have to insist that you sign this. You hit the Alt key, we lost all of our data, and you destroyed the program. So I'm going to need you to sign this confession because you need to take responsibility for what you did. So I'm going to get my calendar so we can reschedule this since you messed everything up. And all our data is gone. We're going to have to redo it. So reschedule.
What happened?
I hit the Alt key, lost all my data.
Are you sure that you hit the Alt key?
Yeah.
That's not good.
The experiment we conducted actually had a different purpose than what we initially told you. The real purpose was to study false confessions. the program they were typing in was programmed to shut down after about a minute by itself. The person calling out the letters was part of the experiment and was instructed beforehand to accuse you of hitting the Alt key when I asked. Our goal was to determine, again, whether or not you would confess to hitting the Alt key even though you didn't. Afterwards, we wanted to push it a little further and see if we could get you to say when you hit the Alt key, which is why we were calling off the letters.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe I confessed!
It was found that of the 17 participants in the fast-paced group, if a witness signed the confession and were more likely to show signs of compliance, internalization, and confabulation. While some of the slow-paced group without witness did sign the confession, few showed little to any signs of suffering for any other effect. In the other two groups, fast-paced without witness and slow-paced with witness respectively, only 65 and 86% signed the confession with little to no signs of confabulation, and only 12 and 44% showed signs of internalization.
At the end of the video.
It's still recording. I'm still recording.